folklore about plants
Okay.
in Lakota culture.
In Lakota culture, a long time ago, we had wahoshi, and that's the runners that run to the next village to tell the news, or run there as an errand to tell what's going to happen at the home where she's from. In this story, the Dakota were going to honor an old grandfather, and they wanted many of the people far away who knew him to come to this honoring ceremony while he was still alive, so he could hear all the wonderful things they thought about him. Usually they talk about people of the wonderful things when he's on his death bed and already has gone to the spirit world and the body is still there. They talk great things about him. But they want people to come to tell him directly so he could hear what they thought about him or what all the things he did that made them to be friends. And that's the message for the youth to run to different far away villages and home sites, tribal sites. And usually it was boys that were the runners to take messages, probably because they could fight any dangers or animals that they met along the way, staying away from fear, like fierce warriors that didn't mean well. They have to be attentive and see sign and read signs. And this girl decided she wanted to be a wahoshi. And she asked her grandmother and grandfather, why can't girls be wahoshi? And the grandfather said, nobody ever said they shouldn't. Well, why aren't there any girl wahoshi? I don't know why, but it was usually boys, probably because they're fast. And the girl said, well, I'm the fastest youth in this village. I could pass them all up. And so the grandmother said, I think it would be okay, but we're going to have to tell the whole village about this. And so we're going to say this to you now, that you have the skills to survive. You know about our survival foods, which you will be carrying. We're going to make you a big bag, but not so much it will be heavy. We're going to put all the plants and medicines in that waterproof bag that we made from the elk. And we cleaned it with brain, and we soaked it into the hide so it would help to be waterproof. Also, we will smoke it. We will build a small structure that's like a miniature teepestula, a little teepee. We'll wrap the hide in there and put the woods and of different kinds to make it smell good and also help with the waterproof. Then we'll turn it inside out and then smoke it on that side too. So you will have that as a waterproof, watertight material for your foods to stay dry in case of rain or in case of crossing rivers. And you know about our wasna, the corn cakes, which are very necessary when you feel you're not hungry anymore. That would create an appetite for you, and it will strengthen you. Also, the choke cherries to protect your stomach in case you ate some things that were not good along the way, so you won't get a bellyache. It would help you to protect your stomach. These are spirit foods. We call them that because the Spirit informed us of them by the vocation of elders who kept these long stories to teach the youth and the next peoples to know about them. And also the dried meat, which has everything necessary for you to live, my girl. And also we need all the healing medicines to go along with that. And that's the bitter root to help inside your stomach, to help heal you of any ailments that has to do with your function of going to the bathroom, and the bear root for your colds and any kind of things that goes into your lungs. It'll clear that for you. You'll also have a tuki, the seashell, in order to light some of the sage and also some of the bitter root with it to breathe in, so it'll clear your lungs and your breathing passages as you run. These are all necessary for you. For energy, you will take the root of the plant we call chushishila, the gumweed. You will get the root and you would dry that in the sun. And when the juices come out, as it's squeezing the juices to the sides, you will scrape that and take that and put it in your bag. You will chew that when you get weak, and you would energize and keep on running. And you will chew the bitter root in order to keep your mouth moist. You will always keep your mouth moist while you're running, my girl. And you would always have other medicines that you will take. You will take the buffalo berry, the mastincha lapute, because that was your woman coming of age fruit that you had to eat at your women coming of age ceremony. And it makes you what you are, a woman. That's the reminder. All the other plants that you find along the way, you know them. And henna yasra, the wichaganashka, the currants you would use to fill yourself. You would use the ujijintka to be able to help you chew it, and you ward off any kinds of colds or cough ailments that you might meet along the way. That will protect you. And so we have all of those that you know about. I'm just listing the ones I can fill for you now. A lot of the other things you could pick along the way. You could pick the chanakpa, the mushroom, and you could eat that raw, and it will fill you, my girl. And all the other, if you want some chayaka, some wakpe, the pre-sweetened tea, you can cut a bark off the box elder tree and scrape the red bark on the inside and boil that for your tea. It will help you to keep you awake, and it's sweet enough that it'll give you energy also. All of those, you know the ones along the way, you will recognize these. So those are what you're going to take for your sustenance. When you had your women coming of age ceremony, in this ceremony, the girls got a bag of moccasins, a sign that you would live forever. You would have many moccasins along your way till you get old. That's just a sign. But now you could use them, that when one of your moccasins gets holes in them and you can't use them, just put another pair on and keep on running. These were necessary for some reason we don't know. We just do things because people thought that was the right thing to do. It's just symbols, but now you're going to use them when you're going to become a wahoshi. And so they went to the village and told the people that she was going to be a runner, to go west to where the Lakota are and take the message about the grandfather that's going to be honored. And so after that, all the wahoshi went different directions to different villages. And along the way, she went and did exactly what the grandmother said. She arrived many, many days afterwards to the Lakota homeland. She crossed rivers and got there. She went over mountains and arrived there. And she told her message of coming, that they're invited. And so she was going to leave, but a family that had a teepee with enough room said, "Stay with us tonight and you leave in the morning early. Just rest and eat, and we'll give you food, we'll replenish your supplies. So give us time and just stay overnight." And that night they had a bonfire with old people telling stories, sitting in a circle. And she looked around to all the wonderful people, and her eyes locked on a young man. And the young man's eyes locked on hers. They looked at each other. She put her head down and looked away. But he continued to look at her, came all the way around, and respectfully said, "I want to sit beside you." And so she moved over, and he sat down, and they listened together. They didn't have to say anything to each other. They just knew that there was a feeling between them that if they sat together, it just made it wonderful. And so when she went to bed that night, she said, "I'll see you sometime," and went to bed. She got up real early and got her bag, and she started to run home. And on the prairies, she looked back often and all around like she was told to. And once she looked back and saw dust way back there, it looked like a lot of people were chasing her or following her. So she went to a spot and ran to the hill, and there she found some of the evergreen that had little white berries. And she got them and started to chew them. Oh, it was bitter but good. She remembered the taste because they had the same tree. And it helps to cleanse your body and keep your energy going. And that was the juniper. And she put some on the tuki and also lit it with sage and some of the bear root. Smell it to keep her air passages clear so she could breathe good and run. Because they got to the place where she turned this way, and they stopped and started coming towards where she went. And so she said, "They're not following me, they're chasing me." And she started to run and run and run. Before she got to the edge of a river, she saw a chanchloga, a hollow, long, reed-like plant. It looked like one of those sunflowers, but this didn't have the flowers. It was just a hollow, long, they call it chanchloga, the hollow reed. She cut it way down here and way up here, and she blew out the remaining parts of it, so it was hollow. She ran with that, and when she got to the river, she sat and then heard them coming. She went into the river and walked along till she got to some tall, tall reed-like plants that had long leaves, and she lay down in the tall weeds, and she pushed up the hollow reed, and she breathed through there, and she was in the water. And she felt around and felt a vine-like plant. And she said, this is bitterroot. And I'm going to make sure to get myself some. She was imagining. And the voices arrived, and the footsteps on the shore of the banks. Boom, boom, boom. She could hear it in the water. And their voices were going, they were saying that. She couldn't hear them clearly. But what they were saying is, did she go in and over there? How about over there? Did she go in? Please find her. I like her so much. And she just left without telling me. He was saying. But she couldn't hear that. Because that made her didn't know who it was. All she could hear was, and the foot beats were like a drum. And it sounded like that. So when she was very tired, in that twilight time, half asleep, half awake, she was breathing through that reed. She held it tight to make sure she didn't let her go. And almost asleep in that twilight, what she was hearing was a drum and singing. Never before did she ever see a drum. But in her dream, there was a drum, a hollow log with the hides stretched on it with cords holding it tight. And there were men sitting around it with sticks. And they were hitting it. And they were singing. And all of a sudden, boom, the singing and the drum stopped. So she came out of her stood, and there was no one. No sound could wake you up. And she stood up, brushed her hair back, and she held onto her reed, held onto her bag, got some of the bitterroot, and she swam with them all the way across and started to run again. And she sat down to eat, and the soft bitter root was good, like for food. Just going, oh, it tasted so good. Later on, this wouldn't be able to be eaten that way because when it dries and tightens, it gets really, really bitter. But now it tasted so good. She's eating that and saving the rest for herself to use as a medicine later. And she ran, and she started to see the land features. She knew she was home. She went over a hill, and she knew she was home. She saw her village. But what made her most happy that she was home is her little dog was running toward her very, very fast. The little dog came, made a big circle, and ran around. "Oh, Hitika," she said, "little brave one." And the little dog ran a big circle, stopped here and went like this. Another big circle and stopped, and the little girl picked up her dog, held the dog here, and it felt like home. Mm-hmm. That night, they had a big bonfire, and the old men talked for so long, she was hoping they'd get done so she could tell her story. Well, it went on, and finally, one of the old men says, "Ho, Hetchatuelo, it's all over with," meaning, let's go to bed. But she said, "Excuse me," in the Dakota way. She stood up and said, "Ahem," and everybody went quiet. She said, "I want to tell you something that happened to me when I was coming home from Wiochbeatake, where the sun goes down. I took my message, and on the way home, I was chased. I lie down in the water with my reed. She was holding it up. And I breathed through it so they didn't find me. But when I was in the water, I had a dream. From their footsteps and their voices, what I saw was a chanchecha, a wood kettle with the hides stretched over it, held by cords all the way around. And the men were sitting there singing. They were hitting it and singing. That's what I saw. And it was over. So the day came when all the people traveled from far away, caravans and travois and pulling foods and gifts, and they arrived there. And at the honoring ceremony, the men were creative enough, the young ones, to make the first drum. And when they honored Grandpa, they started to sing. And the girl escorted her grandpa, and she was holding that reed. Thank you.